So I'm sure we're all familiar with the 7 deadly sins: pride, greed, lust, wrath, gluttony, envy, and sloth. I've seen this done with many other shows and fandoms, so I thought, why shouldn't I do this for Genshin too? And so I've wondered, who embodies each concept the most or best? Starting with pride, this was actually the one that took me the longest to think of. Not a lot of characters are outright proud to an annoying degree. However, after some thought and consulting a few of my friends on this, I've come to the conclusion that the one and only Arataki Itto is the one that embodies pride. Itto is a proud Oni who raves about the reputation of his gang, when honestly they aren't known for much more than mostly public nuisances. From his many names and titles such as the One and Oni, the Oni Sumo King, the Ultimate TCG Champion, he might lose but he'll never admit defeato, etc. He's got quite the ego. His most prideful moment was when he decided to challenge Yaimiko when she happened to sit on the chair that he normally sits on at his favorite food stand. They argued for a bit, until there was a contest to decide who got to sit there. Itto chose the type of contest, which happened to be an eating competition, while Yaimiko chose the theming around it, which happened to be Kitsune Ramen. This ramen had fried tofu in it, which if you are not aware, is made from soybeans, which Onis are deathly allergic to. And so, he ate with much gusto and went home very sick, and the mortified food stand owner just gave him the chair as emotional compensation. Regardless, while Itto's pride is definitely on the more positive side of things, he definitely embodies this the best. This was an immediate pick, as I knew that it would be Dori. As we all know, this feisty merchant is always looking to make some money. There have been tales of travelers in the desert roaming the sands, and out of nowhere, a merchant will pop up with exactly what you need. That merchant would be Dori, looking to capitalize on any situation a customer may be in. Dori actually had a brief case of insomnia for a while. It troubled her quite a lot, and would affect the trade meetings that she attended. Apparently, she showed up with raccoon eyes. She went to numerous doctors, and they all couldn't figure out the diagnosis. It was until one doctor suggested having an hourglass by her side, and maybe the sound of falling sand could help her fall asleep. Dori tried this for a couple nights, but it didn't work. She couldn't fall asleep. The method did give her an idea, however. Dori had ordered a large custom hourglass, but instead of it being filled with sand, it was filled with mora. And the sound of clinking mora falling on top of one another was what finally lulled Dori back to sleep. On a much sadder note, however, Dori's love for mora comes from a place of deep pain and loss. Dori once had a sister that she deeply cared for, and they enjoyed spending time with one another. However, one day, her sister started coughing up blood and became extremely sick. Many strangers came into their home to see what was wrong with her, and Dori had yet to understand the medical jargon. Dori and her family were extremely worried about her condition, until one day Dori had found a crumpled up piece of paper that happened to be a prescription of herbs to treat her sister. However, these herbs were very rare, and cost an unfathomable amount of mora. Dori's sister had always brushed away her parents' insistence on following the prescription. With that, Dori resolved to make enough mora to support her family and take care of the people she loves. And with that, she received her electrovision. While being on a sadder note, I'm sure we can all agree that Dori still embodies the sin of greed. Lust is an extremely difficult thing to determine in Genshin. This is because, well, it's lust. It's a bit inappropriate. So what I've done is dumb it down a bit and turn it into who in Genshin has a strong adoration, more in like the romantic sense or someone. This was tricky since we really don't have anything like this confirmed in the game, and among the numerous multiple ships, well, I think the one that stands out the most in my heart is Xingqiu and Chongyun, specifically referring to Xingqiu. Back in the Moonlight Merriment event, colloquially known as Moon Chase, Xingqiu and Chongyun had an interaction with the Traveler in Xingqiu Village. This interaction ended with a secret conversation between Xingqiu and Chongyun, where the former asked the latter to pick out any book and read out loud to him. Chongyun was quite puzzled by his request, making it seem that reading Xingqiu a book was the only reason he was asked to tag along that day. Xingqiu, taking this into consideration, decided that it might be better if he read a book to Chongyun. The book that he happened to suggest was titled Young and Hopelessly Smitten. This is further by the way Xingqiu was constantly teasing and doting on him, essentially flirting, at almost every single opportunity. In Xingqiu's second character story, his older brother went into his room to look for him, except Xingqiu had gone out for the day, and had yet to return. Seeing how Xingqiu's room was in absolute disarray, he had decided to tidy up his room. When Xingqiu came back, his brother gave him a scolding on how he should be keeping his room. The lecture ended with a bizarre comment from his brother saying that he won't ever go into his room again without Xingqiu's permission, and making sure that the maids will be doing the same. Xingqiu was extremely confused, but his mother walked away, his brother saying that the books under Xingqiu's bed were a bit jarring, and he doesn't want to discuss such uncomfortable subjects since Xingqiu is probably going through puberty. Apparently the books that were under Xingqiu's bed were martial arts novels, and he had even prepared a response for if and when the maids found it, but no one ever went into his room again. Now, while I'm fairly sure that these could just be actual martial arts books discussing real techniques and fighting styles, this would be a possibility that they have some erotic undertones in them, as it is insinuated by this character story. So yes, final verdict is, Xingqiu needs to go to Honeydew. That's it. As for Wrath, I chose someone that I believe may not come first to mind. I originally thought that maybe Eula, or even Rosaria might be the embodiment of Wrath, seeing how they're very, well, quick to attack and very ruthless and lethal in their methods of getting things done. But I ultimately decided to settle on Shenhe. Shenhe's character story goes far back when she was a child. Shenhe was part of an exorcist clan, and lived a fairly normal life, until her father decided to sacrifice her. Yes, sacrifice her to the remaining parts of an evil god, hoping to bring back his wife. Shenhe instead fought what was left of the evil god and defeated it, but became cursed in the process. She had started to grow homicidal, essentially a murderous rage. In an attempt to contain this, the Adepti decided to bind her soul with red ropes. These red ropes held her murderous tendencies back, but in doing so made her extremely indifferent and quite emotionless, essentially completely passive. Despite the red ropes holding her back, Shenhe is still very easily able to be angered. She still thinks of the most violent ways to resolve conflicts. Instead of opting for negotiation, Shenhe usually makes threats, which she sees as being quite efficient and effective. So yeah, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm pretty sure that homicidal tendencies are the best contender for Wrath. Gluttony is super easy to pinpoint who it is, and that's Venti. This guy loves to drink, and as the Animal Archon, I feel like he is deservedly the poster child, or should I say, poster god of his people. Venti loves to drink, and he will do almost anything for some good dandelion wine. Much to his dismay, this is harder than it seems, being that Mondstadt's taverns view him as a minor in his form. He got around this, however, by encouraging his audience to buy him drinks as payment whenever he sang his songs. This made him extremely popular, and he found a loophole to indulge in his favorite pastime. On a side note, Paimon is the representative of the eating part of Gluttony. She's someone that will constantly wants to eat and always thinks about food. It's essentially in every single conversation of the game, which is absolutely hilarious. And yeah, of course, there's the joke about her being emergency food. Envy is embodied by a character that will be released in this patch very soon. The person that I'm referring to is Baizhu. Baizhu is the pharmacist and doctor of the Boo Pharmacy. He also keeps a zombie by his side. The zombie is a person that we all hate to lose our 50-50s to, and that is Chi-Chi. As we all know, Chi-Chi is an immortal child infused with the Adepti's power in order to revive her from death, but left mindless and forgetful through time. Baizhu has a condition that makes him very physically weak, and he keeps Chi-Chi around to discover how she's able to live forever. In fact, this is one of the debates that Baizhu's master and the former funeral director of the Wangsheng funeral parlor had a feud about. While Hu Tao wants death, Baizhu wants life. He's envious of it. He wants to figure out how to live forever. Baizhu is jealous of Chi-Chi and wants to find out the secret to prolonging his life, potentially maybe even curing his condition. He wants to achieve immortality. Baizhu's envious of Chi-Chi and envious of life. That's probably the most envious thing I could probably think of. As for Sloth, this is clear as day. It's the easiest. It's Sayu. The Shimatsuba ninja herself is constantly running, rolling, and hiding away. She just wants to find a place to take a rest and nap so she can grow taller. She's running away from her work and responsibilities. Literally, the entirety of her sleeping is sloth, both in parts of not wanting to do work and completely lacking in any effort to do any work. Sure, there was that time in the Archon quest where she did steal a crucial piece of information from the Tenryu Commission, but ultimately that was probably the only solid piece of work that she's ever really done. Her entire hangout event entails her running away from a shrine maiden who's supposed to help and oversee her training. The whole thing is whether you help the shrine maiden find her, or you help Sayu get away. This is the easiest out of the 7 deadly sins to figure out who embodies one of them the best. And yeah, that was The 7 deadly sins embodied by 7 different Genshin characters. Or, well, 8 if we're including Paimon as a bonus. But yeah, thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more of this on a regular basis, you already know what button to press. I don't need to tell you. And if you have something, say, I can only hope that it's nice. Thank you. Bye.